Hey there, it's Dave and welcome to another Guitars Root Hero song tutorial. In this lesson, I'm going to teach you how to play California Dreamin by the Mamas and Papas. For the basics, you'll just need your guitar in standard tuning with the capo on the 4th fret of your guitar. Now, if you're a beginner or fairly new to guitar and you're looking for some quick and easy wins, then I've created a PDF guide with 10 legendary songs that you can play with 3 chords or less. I'll leave a link to that in the description below. Or if you're looking for a simple and structured way of finally learning the guitar, then check out the Guitars Root Hero Premium course and membership, which gives you all the guidance to play with confidence. I'll leave a link to that in the description below. Let's jump into this lesson. Okay, so let's dive into the intro of the song. There's just one line of tab here, 4 bars of music. We'll start with an A sus2 chord shape, so just middle and ring finger on the 2nd frets of the 4th and 3rd string. Let's break this first bar up into 2 sections. So for the first 4 notes, we're going to pluck the 4th string, 3rd, 2nd, and then back to 4th string. And I pluck that with a down, down, up, down. All right? So 1 and 2 and... Now for the second half of this bar, we have 3 notes. We're going to go to the 3rd fret of the 2nd string with our pinky finger, and then down to the 1st fret with our index. So that's an A minor shape now. And then the open 2nd string. So those 3 notes, we put those 2 halves together and the first bar sounds like this. We are going to play that bar through 3 times. And on the 4th bar, we go to an E7 sus4. So from our A sus2, keep your ring finger where it is. There's no need to lift that finger. Just keep it fretted and move your middle finger up to the 2nd fret of the 5th string. We're going to strum all the strings here. And that's an E7 sus4. That's it for the intro, which will sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Now there is an optional 2nd guitar part played on the 12th string that we can layer on top of that main guitar part. This part isn't necessary if you're playing this by yourself, so you can feel free to skip this if you want to. But now I'll just quickly show you how to play that layered guitar part. Okay, so for this 2nd guitar part, it comes in on the 2nd bar on the 2 beat. So 1 and 2, that's when the first note will start. It's the open 1st string, the 1st fret of the 1st string, and then back to the open 1st string. So 3 notes there, 2 and 3 and. On the 4 beat, we'll go to the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. So the bar in total, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Then for this next bar, we'll break it up into 2 halves. For our first half, 1st fret of the 2nd string, then 3rd fret, back to 1st fret. So 1 and 2 and. Then for our second half, we have 3 notes here. Open 2nd string, 2nd fret of the 3rd string with your ring finger, then open 3rd string, and then we go to the E7 sus4. So that's why I use my ring finger here for that 2nd fret, because then we can just place it back down, middle finger on the 2nd fret of the 5th string to play that E7 sus4. So the 3rd and 4th bars, 1 and 2 and. And that's it for the 2nd guitar part laid on the main guitar part for the intro. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Now we get to the main parts of the song, which are just all chords and strumming. Now in terms of strumming pattern, I'm going to be using a constant down-up strumming pattern at 8th notes. So 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. That is simply just a suggestion though. You can play a different strumming pattern. As long as it's within that 8th note framework, then it should be fine. Digging into verse number 1, there's 3 lines of chords here. We're going to start with an A minor chord, and then we're going to go to a G chord. Now the G chord I like to play is a 3-finger G chord like this. And we don't even necessarily need our pinky finger down here. You can actually mute that 1st string and just focus on the heavier 4 or 5 strings of the guitar. So ring finger on the 3rd fret of the 6th string, middle finger on the 2nd fret of the 5th string. All right. those two chords are contained within one bar, meaning that they're going to share one strumming pattern and the change will be on the 3 beat. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now the next chord is an F. You can play an F bar chord if you want to, and this is a perfectly good song to practice your F bar chords. But personally, I like playing my Fs like this. It's just more comfortable for me personally, but feel free to do a full F bar chord. Now with this F, we're placing our ring and pinky fingers on the 3rd frets of the 5th and 4th string, middle on the 2nd fret of the 3rd, and index on the 1st fret of the 2nd string. Your 1st string can be muted here. Now, if you can, use your thumb to reach over the top to fret the 1st fret of the 6th string. You don't need to reach your thumb over a whole lot in order to grab that string, and it only needs a slight amount of pressure down in order to ring out properly. So that's the F I like to use. If that thumb is too difficult for you, you can just mute the 6th string and play the middle 4 strings. That's technically an F over C, but it sounds just as good as an F chord for the purposes of this song. So we have our F and back to a G, both again contained within the 1 bar. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. From this point, we're going to go to our E7 sus4 that we had in the intro. So plant your middle finger where it is. We just pivot around that point and put our ring finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. So we're going to play this beautiful chord for a whole bar, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And for the 4th bar, we go down to an E7. So from the E7 sus4, just lift your ring finger and index finger goes on the 1st fret of the 3rd string. So we're going to play an E7 and F. So that's shared for the 4th bar, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. That's it for the first line of chords, which will sound like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. For the second line of chords, from our F, we'll then pivot to a C chord. This is easy because our index and ring fingers are already in place. We just need to pivot around those points to get to our C. And then we have an E7. Those two chords are within 1 bar, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Then there's an A minor to F. Right, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 3rd bar is an E7 sus4 for 1 full bar, and then an E7 for a full bar. Right, so the second line of chords: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now, the 3rd line of chords is almost identical to the first line of chords. So we have A minor, G, F, G, E7 sus4. But for this final bar, instead of going to E7 and F, like in the first line of tab, we're just going to stay on the E7 for that 4th bar. So the 3rd line of chords: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And we play that 3rd line of chords through twice. That's it for verse number 1, which will sound like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 Now, one little thing you can do with the strumming pattern to add more feel and dynamics to it is to accent the 2 and the 4 beat. So notice On the 2 and the 4 beat, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, I strum those chords a little bit harder, and that gives that rhythm a bit more of a driving feel. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4. So that's just one little thing you can add to make your strumming sound a little bit better. We move on to verse number 2, which is identical to verse number 1. We then get to the flute solo section, and I'll teach you my particular arrangement of this flute solo in the later part of this video. But for now, let's focus on the chords. There's 3 lines of chords again, and it's pretty much identical to the verses, except for the first line of chords, which differs. So for the first line of chords, we are staying on the A minor for 3.5 bars. So the first 3 bars are just A minor. For the 4th bar, it's A minor to F. And then the rest of the chord progression for this solo is the same as the verses. So the second and the third lines of chords are the same. I'll just play through the first 2 lines of chords so you can hear how that sounds. 1, 2, 3, 4. After the flute solo, there's verse number 3, which is almost the same as verse 1 and 2, except the third line of chords is not repeated through twice, it's just played through once. If you want to see that in context, go to the playthrough at the end of this lesson. Then we have the outro. There's 2 lines of chords here. Our first line of chords is A minor, G, F, and G. So very similar to the start of the verse, played through 3 times. For the second line of chords, we have F for 2 full bars, and then we end the song with an A minor. So the outro will sound like this: 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and... So those are all the rhythm parts for this song. I'll now teach you my particular rendition of the flute solo. The first half of my particular rendition follows the flute fairly closely, but for the second half, I've kind of branched off and have created something that's a bit more playable on the acoustic guitar. All right, so we have 4 lines of tab here. We're going to start on the 5th fret relative to the capo on the 3rd string. And I play that with my ring finger. We hold that out for a bar and also the first beat of the second bar. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and... On the 2 beat, I'll then go down to the 4th fret and then back up to the 5th fret, hit it again and slide to the 7th fret. So 2 and 3 and... On the end beat after 4, I'll go back to the 5th fret, pluck it and pull off to the 4th fret. Now, to get a nice pull off, you actually flick your finger in a downwards direction to get nice pull off sound. If you just lift your finger, that second note's not going to really be clear and definitive. So flick your ring finger in a downwards motion, and that's the second bar. 2 and 3 and 4 and... For the 3rd bar, we'll go back to the 5th fret of the 3rd string. And the 4th bar is the same as the 2nd bar. All right, so the first line I tab 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and... For the second line of tab, I'll take my ring finger, go to the 5th fret of the 4th string, hold that out for 2 beats, so 1, 2, and then go up to the 6th fret, hold it out for 2 beats, then 7th fret for 2 beats, and then the 6th fret of the 2nd string for 2 beats, and for the 3rd bar, down to the 5th fret. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4. On the end beat after the 4, I'm going to go to the 7th fret of the 3rd string, pluck that, and pull off to the 5th, back up to the 7th fret and slide up to the 9th. And that is on the first beat of the 4th bar. Like that. So it's a fairly quick little run. So from the 3rd bar. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and... So after that slide, we're then going to go to the 5th fret of the 2nd string, and I bar my index finger here across the 1st and 2nd strings, because we're going to pluck the 2nd string, then 1st, and then 7th fret of the 1st string. So then I'm going to pluck the 5th fret, so back to the 5th fret, and hammer on and pull off, and end on the 8th fret of the 2nd string. And the 4th bar in total. Second line of tab in total. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we get to the 3rd line of tab. So this is where I sort of break away from what the flute usually does. And I'm going to be playing more of the vocal melody that you hear in the verses. So 5th fret of the 1st string, pluck that on the 1 and 2 beat. Then to the 8th fret of the 2nd string, relative to the capo, on the 3 and 4 beat. On the end beat after the 4, we'll quickly go down to the 6th fret. All right, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Hold that into the next bar, and on the 2 beat of the next bar, we go 5th fret of the 1st string, 7th, 5th, 8th, and then end on the 5th fret. All right, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. For the next little lick, we'll go 7th fret of the 3rd string, pluck it and pull off to the 5th. And then back to 7th and slide. And then hold that into the 4th bar. And the next lick, we're going to stay on this 9th fret of the 3rd string, pluck that, then 8th fret of the 2nd and 7th fret of the 1st, right? And on the end beat after the 4, pluck it one more time. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that's it for the 3rd line of tab. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... 4th line of tab up to the 8th fret, pluck that on the 1 and 2 beat. Then down to the 7th fret on the 3 and 4 beat. And on the end beat after the 4, quickly go down to 5th. Alright, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. For the 2nd bar, we'll go up to 8th, down to 5th, and back to 8th fret twice. That's on the 2 beat. And then on the end beat after the 4, down to 7th fret. Alright, so the 2nd bar, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and for the 3rd and the 4th bar, let's break this up into 4 groups at a time. On the end beat after 2, we'll go up to 10th fret relative to the capo on the 1st string. We're going to pluck this twice, then 7th fret. So that's a 3 fret jump. Then 9th fret of the 2nd string, and we're going to pluck this twice and down to 6th. And again, another 3 fret jump. So... And for the final 4 notes, we'll go down to 5th fret, pluck this twice, 6th, and then 5th. Right, so the final 4 notes. And the 3rd and 4th bar in total. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and the 4th line of tab in total. Alright, and the solo in total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's it for my particular arrangement of this flute solo played on the guitar. And those are all the parts you need to learn. So now I'll be doing a full playthrough of this song. A big thanks to my friend Eric for lending his awesome vocals to this playthrough. Feel free to play this back as many times as you'd like to practice, play along to, and see how you go. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this lesson, then I know you'll absolutely love these other lessons here. Or if you want some easy guitar wins, then I've put together a free guide with 10 legendary songs you can play with just 3 chords or less. You can grab that by clicking below. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next video.